Hey everybody, Brad Johnson here, and I'm here for the next episode of Brad's Vlog. And last week, when I was talking about the relationship to finances, to financial resolutions, felt so good. Just getting a lot of that old weight off my chest as well too. And I feel that what I'm sharing here is, in fact, an actual big spiritual practice, even though it's a lot of personalized understandings in that way. And I share this just as a means of, again, yes, personalization, but it's also getting an idea of a lot of things that have been kind of kept in a vault within myself that I felt I could not express before because I was feeling that I just needed to talk about spiritual information. I needed to talk about metaphysics, consciousness, channeling, psychic ability, healing work, and a lot more. But this is indeed a healing work, right? It is basically me opening myself up as a spiritual facilitator and being able to share a lot of the personable aspects that I've been through. And it certainly has not been pretty, right? As I'm sure there's, all kinds of people that are watching this right now that can relate to some of the things I'm talking about, not just through finances, but what I'm going to be talking about today as it relates to relationships, right? And this has been something that has been one of my biggest quote-unquote Achilles heel in the times of past. After I left with my ex-wife back in 2009, I was just feeling, again, really, really lonely. I felt like very, very separated. I felt segregated. And I wanted to feel that in order for me not to feel so alone, that I needed to have a partner in my life. I needed to feel like a partner was going to complete me in that way. And I get this a lot from a lot of people when I'm doing client sessions. Usually Adronis comes in and he shares a lot of really great insight. And it was all part of my learning. It took me several years to realize what I am going to share and what that is in a nutshell. Relates to the idea of having self-partnership, right? Being able to feel completely comfortable within, feeling comfortable not only in your own shoes, but within your own soul. And being able to learn how to put yourself first, because I wasn't putting myself first. I was always being second, even in my spiritual path, following a lot of my spiritual life as well too. I wanted to have partners. I just felt that there's that partner out there. There's that one partner that I feel that really completes me, that is going to be my other half. There's that partner that's really going to show me my light, right? And I really want to find her. I want to find that partner. That was my, super passionate request to the universe. And it's like the universe, again, throws you curveballs, right? So again, after I left the ex-wife in 2009, I actually started to see another woman shortly after I left her, and it actually only lasted a couple of weeks, actually, because we were actually meeting online, again, shortly after I left the ex-wife, which was, again, all part of something where I felt that when I was with the ex-wife, I felt that I was just sticking around for the kids' sake, right? I felt like my heart was dimmed. I felt like there was no love left back in the relationship, and I was kind of just hanging around the house for the idea of being with children. And then shortly after, there was this one person that came together, and she was like there to pick up the pieces, right? And I just felt this desperation. I just felt like I just needed to have somebody. I needed to have this particular partner in my life. And so after I left everything behind relating to that old marriage, I met up with this woman, and she was from the United Kingdom. And again, we were only together for a couple of weeks because she turned out to be nothing like the personality that she intended to be online, right? And this was back again in 2009. And of course, I felt very, very heartbroken as well too. I thought, oh, maybe there's a new partner, a new person who can really come into my life and really just fulfill me, to encourage me to go deeper into my spiritual self, to have this twin flame, to have this soulmate. It was so exciting to me. And then when I met her, I was like, no, that's not how it worked, right? And then, of course, after that whole incident took place, I was on my own for a little over a year, I would say, just being able to work on myself. I did have a couple other dates, but they didn't really go anywhere. But I was basically just attempting to work on myself. But again, that was the time, around 2009. up to about 2013, where I just felt really lonely, right? Where I just felt I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. I was really enjoying my connections with Adronis. I'm really enjoying my connections with channeling and doing healing work and working with clients. But again, I felt very, very empty inside because I still didn't feel comfortable with who I was. I didn't feel comfortable in saying that I am Brad and that I am already complete, right? That never entered my mind. I thought, no. There's got to be somebody. There's got to be someone who I can connect with and feel that I can have this relationship with, and we can be spiritual partners together, and we can do all these incredible things. I can host events, and this person will be with me and host events as well too, and she'll be there with me, and she'll teach as I teach and all that, right? That was my quote-unquote pipe dream, right? But again, I was not seeing how I was forming a relationship with myself. I felt again that I was reaching outside of myself. I was going on the outside and feeling I needed to pull somebody in and saying, you're going to complete me. You're going to be it. So I kept looking at my partner's higher self, right? And their higher self is absolutely beautiful. They were wonderful. It was like looking at an angel. But the whole idea is that I didn't relate to their lower self. I didn't relate to their physical self. Their physical self, again, had a lot of situations where they too were struggling. They too felt that they weren't good enough. They too felt that they needed somebody outside of themselves to complete themselves, just as I did. And that became the magnetic attraction, right? So again, after my ex-wife, over the span of about 9 years, up to about 2017, I was dating probably about a total about 10 different partners, right? And some of them were pretty short. The longest one I had was around 2012, 2013, which was a little over a year. But it was like every month or two, a new partner was coming in, a new partner was coming in. And I said, oh, she's got to be the one. She's got to be the one this time. She's got to be the spiritual partner this time. She's going to be the one that's complete me. She's the one that's going to... right? And so I really did not learn this lesson. I really did not understand the ability of being able to really look into yourself, make peace with yourself, harmonize yourself, and become your own, primordial partner altogether. Not until 2017 with my last partner that I had, and we had a baby together, right? This was my last partner when I was living in Victoria, and when we first met, everything was great. We had a really great relationship. We were definitely falling in love with each other. Everything felt fantastic. And there was a situation that was happening where she wanted to be a surrogate mother. She wanted to have another baby, right? Because she's done this before. And she was really, really compassionate and wanting to have this next child. But as we were getting together as well too, I was contemplating that. I was like, well, what would happen if her and I had a child? What would happen if that was something that would take place? Would I see myself as a father? And I don't know. I really don't know, right? But I talked to her about it, and there was almost like the decision of saying, let's do this, even when I wasn't 100% sure about doing this altogether. And really, she did become pregnant, and I still was just very anxious, very nervous, and saying, I don't know if I'm ready to be a father again right now. I have 2 other kids that I know that I've had so much resistance, I've had so much walls put up in front of me that I can't be their parent, I can't be their father right now. And now this situation is happening, and I was very, very nervous, very anxious about it. But a part of me was saying, you know what, maybe I should do this, because I know how much she wants to have this child. I know how much the children are her entire life. Maybe this is something that could help introduce me back into that concept. Maybe there's something where I could have a child and I could pick up where I felt that I couldn't with the previous children, because I have, they were born out of wedlock, and I had my signature on both of their birth records as well too. And I knew I had, financial responsibility for them as well too. So I was very lukewarm to the idea, even though I was kind of suggesting it to her. I said, what if something happened where you and I, have a child? What if that took place? And she became excited about it. And again, I was kind of excited about it, but I was still, kind of nervous, kind of anxious in that way. And I could tell that through the nervousness, the anxiousness I had, really the whole relationship that led to the babies coming into the world, I felt like a surrogate father. That's really what it was feeling like. I just had a feeling, if this baby comes into this world, I'm not going to be a part of its life. That was my own intuitive whisper in the background and saying, oh, come on, there's got to be something, right? This isn't going to turn out like the ex-wife situation like before. We're two people in love with each other. This has got to work. And so it was really a 50-50 mentality here. And so when she came up to me and said, oh, I'm pregnant, I'm like, part of me was excited, part of me was terrified in that way. But again, over time, as she progressed through the pregnancy, she became a very, very different person. When we first were together, it was a lot of love, a lot of compassion, a lot of passion, a lot of greatness. It was a wonderful thing. There's just so much togetherness and tenderness in that way. And as she progressed further into the pregnancy, I just saw this different person emerge. And, some people were saying, oh, come on, Brad, that's just like, it's the pregnancy hormones. It's the idea of her pregnancy hormones that are coming together. They're kicking in. You just have to put up with it, right? It's okay. She even came up to me and said, I'm physically repulsed by you, right? And I said, oh, okay, all right, I understand. And that's part of some symptoms. Pregnancy hormones, I feel, that will take place. I didn't even want to call them hormones in that sense. I would just say these are just shifts. These are waves that she's going through the pregnancy. I didn't really like to use those words, hormones and stuff like that. I felt it was kind of degrading to her. So I said, it's part of this shift, part of the waves that you're going through in that way. But it wasn't. It really wasn't. It was the idea that having my ex-wife and knowing exactly what she went through, going through 2 pregnancies as well too, she too had challenging times. She too had times where she wanted to rip my head off, and get angry and have these, harsh challenges as well too. And of course, I put up with that. I understood that. I understood that was part of it, and you want to continue to love your partner in that way. With my ex, when she was pregnant, it was, again, it was coldness. It was a bitterness. It was almost like a psychological shift that she was going through that I would not say it had anything to do with the waves that came through pregnancy. It was something else that was brewing up inside of her. She was also talking about wanting to get abortions with this child quite a few times during her time of the pregnancy, and I don't even know where this was coming from, right? It really scared me when she was talking like that. She was talking about, again, that she just doesn't want relationships anymore. She just really wants to have these 2 kids, and that's it. And it was just, it was like lining things up where I'm almost like just being completely pushed out of the picture already. And again, I was getting nervous, I was getting upset, I was getting frantic. I didn't know what was going on. And again, there was just more of this coldness, more of this bitterness. It started to become toxic again. It started to become actually more toxic than the ex-wife that I had, the marriage that I had, where the funny thing was I would go to Japan for 2 weeks, and I felt relieved. I just said, oh, okay, I got my own space. I'm going to enjoy these sessions, these events that I'm going to do. And I talked to my ex around on Facebook in that way, just to see how she was doing, because really what I was doing is I was providing for her 100%, right? I was taking care of everything. I gave her a home to live. I helped her with groceries, with food. I was basically her financial supply in that way. She did get some money from governmental assistance and stuff like that. But a lot of what I was doing was giving her a place that she could live rent-free. I was her financial supplier in that way. And this is where I was realizing and saying, I created a monster. I created a monster just in regards to how it was with my ex-wife. My ex-wife and I was like her dependency. She could fall back upon me. And I played that role. And I just said, oh, you don't have to do anything. I'll take care of you, right? And I said the exact same thing to my ex. You don't have to do anything. I'll take care of you. I'll take care of the rent. I'll take care of the food. I'll take care of the bills. I'll leave you some spending money here and there so you can get whatever you need, etc., etc. And I look back at that and I said, oh my God, I created a monster. And that's what I did. I completely created this person who was, again, hopelessly dependent upon myself, just like how it was with my ex-wife, because I didn't know any better back then as well too, is I felt that there was a hopeless dependency upon me, that I was the bread and butter, and I didn't want to give either of them a chance to show that they are independent, they are reliant, they can take care of themselves. I felt that I had to take care of everything in that way. Because again, I was still under that delusion of feeling, my partner, she's going to complete me. She's going to be my other half. She's going to be, part of this great journey. We're going to work together. We're going to do all these things. But again, when I went to Japan, I was really just happy. I was in my own space. It felt great. Then when I came home, when I came back from Japan, and I came back to my place, it was just like the lowest, densest, uncomfortable vibration I have ever felt. It was awful, right? It just felt like everything that was in my space, materials, parts of things that I bought, was kind of like shoved aside, pushed aside. It felt like it was just being taken over in that way. And as soon as I got home, there was no reciprocation about, oh, hey, how's it going? You're back. I even noticed that I couldn't even talk to my ex in person. We were actually in the same room, and she would want me just to Facebook her and not even really talk to her, not even really look at her. If she's walking by, it was coldness, it was bitterness, there was nothing happening. And I'm like, what have I got myself into? Right? What have I got myself into? What has happened here? And it got worse and worse from that point on. We had a trip to Mexico as well too, and that was the time when everything just broke apart. Everything shattered. We were basically in an Airbnb in Mexico. We had kind of a very, very intense, I guess you could say, argument the night just before we were about to leave. And I just said, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can be the parent to this child, because I had always envisioned that when I wanted to have another child again, it was that two parents were simpatico. They were together with each other. And look at what's happened to us. And what I keep getting intuitively is that this is not because of pregnancy. This is going to continue even after you're not pregnant, right? And I was just saying, I don't know what to do here, right? I don't know what's going to take place with the two of us here, because the last thing I want is to have this child being born into the world and having her two parents at each other's throats and having her traumatized in that way. And I said, if that's what's going to happen, then I really can't be this partner, right? I can't be this parent person who's going to be able to work with you, with this child. And I feel that I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready to be this parent when, again, we're dysfunctional in this way, and we're going to pass that trauma on to that child. And I said, that is the last thing I want to do. I would rather her be with her mom and happy than having both her mom and her dad at each other's throats, cold, bitter, fighting about everything, having to use Facebook to talk to each other. And I just said, I don't think I can do this. And that just led to her shutting down and going into the room. And I can totally understand that as well too, that she was going through this type of panic. Because again, from the very beginning, I just wasn't too sure. I wasn't too sure if I wanted to bring this baby into the world or not. I always foresaw having a third child with another person, but it was nothing that I thought it would be. Again, we're starting off with two people who were just majorly in love with each other, and then all of a sudden it's like we just can't stand the sight of each other. I just couldn't stand her as much as she couldn't stand me, right? And I was just breaking down. I said, I can't do this. I cannot be a part of a parent that is going to be part of this dysfunctional relationship between the baby's mother and the baby's father, where they're always fighting. I have done that before. I've done that with two other kids. And it was the worst feeling in the world to see how your kids react when two parents are at each other's throats. And we were at each other's throats. And I said, I'm not doing that, right? And so the next morning, I got up and I was trying to knock on her door. She was in a separate room. And I was saying, yeah, we need to get going. We need to get ready for the taxi to go back home, to go to the airport. And there was nothing. There was no sound. There was not a peep coming from her. I didn't even know what was happening. I'm wondering if she was even in the room. So I'm like, are you there? Are you there? The door was locked. I wasn't able to get in. And I'm saying, are you planning on staying behind here? What's going on? Are you planning on staying in Mexico? What's the deal here, right? And I was just constantly knocking and said, come on, we have to get ready. We're about to be late here if we don't go. And she just opened the door, and just a face filled of absolute rage, right? And it was just so mad at me. It's almost like just these eyes wanted to tear me apart. And she just said right to me, I'm an effing mother. And hit me right there and then, right then and there. And it was like I could just see my heart in my chest, and it just shattered to the ground. I could not believe what happened. It was just, it was a hit. It wasn't a hard hit or anything like that, but it was something that even it was a, little hit in that way, I was devastated, right? I was just completely on my own. I just asked, well, who is this person that is in this body? Again, this is not a pregnancy thing. This is pure psychological something that's coming out. And I was just enraged. To say I was pissed was an understatement. I just did not know who this person was. Our entire trip was just based on fighting and cold bitterness and everything like that. It was by far the worst trip I've ever had in my life. And I was shaking. I was just, I'm even shaking right now telling you guys this. But I want to share this with you guys because it's very, very important to get an idea about what I've gone through and what I've discovered with relationships in that way, based upon that old alignment that I had. But I was just ready to say, all right, I'm just going to get the taxi and leave her here, and she can take care of herself going to the airport, right? She can take care of all this herself. I don't even want to be around her right now. And it was the most uneasiness of trips, right? Even when we were going to the airport, I was walking ahead of her. I just didn't want to look at her. I didn't want to touch her. I didn't want to talk to her. And we actually boarded the plane separately to go back home. It was so awful. I couldn't even look at this person. I couldn't even look at her. It was just like I saw this parasitical organism take over my ex-girlfriend. And I couldn't even understand. I feel like I was just dating a sociopath, right? It was awful. It was unbelievably awful. And I could not even physically be around her. It was just like a magnetic pole that was just repelling me away from her. And so I remember she was like panicking on Facebook because I wasn't around her, and all this stuff. It just turned out to be a big schmoz. It turned out to be a big wreck in that way. So after, again, we got home, I was basically just thinking that maybe she just needs to move out. She needs to find a place of her own, because this is going to be worse. We get together, this is going to be, horrifying for both of us. And especially with her being pregnant, the last thing we want is any kind of, harsh trauma between two partners who can't get along, especially with her also having a child herself. And so I just told her, I think you're going to have to move out. You're going to have to find a new place because we can't get along. I don't even know who you are anymore, right? So this again led to her eventually leaving. I basically almost had to show her the door and say, come on, get out. And it actually involved her calling the police on me, thinking that I was being abusive to her when that was not at all the case, thinking that I was just, maybe rough handling her or anything like that. Nothing like that happened. But it was just the idea that she was breaking down. She was getting nervous because she didn't know what to do. Again, she had so much reliance upon myself and so much dependency upon myself, she could not see herself taking care of herself. And I said, well, you're an adult. You got to, face these things. We're not compatible together, and, we're going to rip each other's throats out, really, if you stay here. And that is not good. So again, she finally went off, and she eventually did discover a place of her own. So I was happy to hear that. And again, as the weeks passed, we started talking by email, and that's it. And I just said, I'll still support you. I'll still send you some money here and there, right? And we came to an agreement about a monthly plan and all that. And she just continued to encourage me and saying, Brad, I want you really to consider that maybe you should be a part of this baby's life. And I said, I don't know. I said, because you and I just cannot get along, right? And that same rage, that same bitterness, that same anger is still there. It hasn't left, right? And I said, that's the last thing I want. I said, I would rather be put aside, and having this baby raised by one parent than the idea of having two parents who can't get along, who fight with each other, who are dysfunctional around each other, who traumatize each other. That will leak onto the baby. And I said, that's the last thing I want, right? And I just kept telling her, I do not think I can be a part of this baby's life. I just see myself as a surrogate father that helped to bring this baby in the world, and I think that was my only task. But again, as I was continuing to talk to her about it, I said, you know what, universe, here's what we're going to do, because I was unsure. If I'm meant to be in this baby's life, let this baby come into the world where if I know that I'm meant to be in her life, let there be a smooth transition. Let there be something very smooth that will come through, and I know that over time we'll work together with something. And that's how I'll know. And then well, it was shortly before the baby was born. It was in January. And I was hearing from other people because my ex blocked me from Facebook altogether. And I heard that the baby was born, that she has a name, of course, and I didn't hear it from anybody. I had people messaging me on Facebook and saying, Brad, congratulations for your baby being born. I'm like, what are you talking about? I haven't heard anything, right? And so I was completely left in the dark. I was completely, left behind in the idea that I didn't know my daughter's name. I didn't know her birth date. I didn't have any photos of her. I was completely erased from her coming into this world. And I was devastated. I was completely devastated. And I would even try and email my ex quite a few times and saying, what's this about the baby being born? Why haven't I been told about all these things, right? Because I helped to support you throughout this entire pregnancy. Why are you not at least telling me the baby's name? When she was born? What does she look like? Where's a picture? Where's all of this stuff, And there was just so much of that coldness, of that bitterness, again, that I felt. And it destroyed me. I was doing so much work on trying to heal my heart, and it felt like it just tore to shreds again. And it felt like everything just fell back on the floor. And I said, I can't believe this. I can't believe she did this. I can't believe that a second time, we were just talking, I'm helping her with support. We were talking about baby registry. I was getting her things out of the registry for the child, and this took place. But I remember from what I told the universe, I said, if I'm meant to be in this baby's life, let there be some type of sign, some particular type of flow that's indicating that I'm meant to. And this was the biggest NO I had ever received. And so when my ex did contact me again, where's money? Where's money? Where's the money? Where's the money? Where's the money? How about money for this? How about money for that? Money, 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 money. Nothing about, oh, here's your daughter's name. Here's when she was born. Here's a photo of her. Here's her full name, right? Here's how the pregnancy went. Here's how the delivery went. Nothing. I was a walking ATM for her, and that was it. And it was like the grandest insult. It was something that just rocked the foundation of my core, and I was just beside myself. I was upset, I was angry, I was frustrated, and it destroyed me. It was by far the absolute worst relationship I have ever had in my entire life. I would also say that my ex was by far the worst person I have ever met in my entire life. Now, I have kept silent about this for over a year, because she was on Facebook and she was bashing me to the ground. Brad's a narcissist. He's this dark night of a spiritual teacher. He was treating me so horribly in Mexico, and it was all these things, and she made herself out to be this eternal victim. And I didn't even know she was doing this. I had friends messaging me on Facebook and saying, do you know that she's bashing you to bits on Facebook and all that? I'm like, what are you talking about? What's going on, right? And then I saw it for myself. I saw screenshots about what she was saying, and it was like my jaw again hit the floor. I'm like, I can't believe this. She's in the same space with me, and she's doing this. And I was just, I was destroyed. I was ripped apart. I felt like a time bomb was just inside me, and I just exploded into 1,000 pieces. It's just this woman who I was so absolutely in love with, and you know, that we had a great relationship to start off with, and then with the idea maybe we'd have this child coming into the world, and it just exploded. It was shocking to me. Right, and I just hear what she was saying to me. Oh, Brad's a narcissist, and he's this, and he's that, and he's the other thing. He's not caring for me, and he's not taking care of me, and I don't know if he even wants this child, blah, 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 blah. And it was just awful, right? And I'm like, all this stuff is stuff we've talked about, and now it's like she's trying to pose this idea of feeling that I'm, you know, the most horrible bully to her ever. And I was so shocked. Like, even when I'm talking to you guys about this right now, guys, I'm shaking, right? This is something that has been concealed within me for over a year. Because when she was doing a lot of this stuff on Facebook, I was feeling that, should I respond? Should I do this? And I said, no, I don't want to, because I don't want 5,000 of my Facebook friends coming on board a conversation where I'm going through a heated argument with my ex who's pregnant, who's about to have a baby, and it turns into a major flame war, man versus woman, spiritual narcissist versus victim, and all of this stupid crap, right? So I said, no, I said, I'm just going to do what I can to try and work this out with her, rather than trying to make this some big public spectacle, right? And again, guys, this is like the biggest revealing I can share. And I know it's long, but I'm just hoping you guys can bear with me. Bear with me here, because I have had this stored in myself for over a year. I have told people on Facebook, hey guys, I'm going to be a father again. I have a third child coming together. And again, I was almost nervous at the same time I was doing that video as well too, because I said, well, am I going to be a part of this baby's life? Because my intuition kept saying, nope. You're going to act more like a surrogate father of anything. And so like I said, what happened afterwards is that all she wanted from me was money. And I said, unless there's going to be some type of arrangement that we can deal with, that we can come together, and that you're able to share this baby's life with me, I don't want to have anything to do with you, right? And nope, just money. Just money, just money. Come on, I want to make this legal. I want to make this thing just so I can get money off you so that you'll never see your kid, and I just get money off you, and that's it. I said, I'm not doing this a second time. Nope. I did this with my marriage. I did this with my ex-wife. I did this with 2 other kids, and this is the exact same trap. Again, I am not paying you all kinds of money to never see my child, right? I said the condition is if we work together, if we're able to, you know, find some way so that we can be both part of this child's life, I'll be happy to support you. But if there's nothing like that, then I'm going to have to let you go. I'm going to have to let you go on your own way. I'm going to see myself as being a surrogate father for this child. As much as I would love to be a part of her life, if there's no cooperation between the other half here, then I'm not going to do this to her. I'm not going to traumatize her because the parents can't get along. And that is the last thing I want a fresh soul in this life to experience, is 2 traumatized parents ripping each other apart so that the baby can get those traumas and live a very heavy karmic life. Not going to happen. And no, money. So I just completely removed her from my life altogether. And that was in January of 2018. So through these past several months, I had a lot of work to do on myself. Again, I was basically part of the most intense, traumatic situation. I'm not saying that I'm a victim in any way. A lot of this was my fault as well too, right? It really was a 50-50 thing. A lot of it was on me. You know, I was feeling that I was giving the idea about having a baby, And, should we do this? Should we do this? And then it happened. And then I again felt that I had to take care of her. I created the monster. I felt that I had to be completely the person that would take care of everything for her. And this was just as much as my fault as anything else, right? I asked for this. I brought this together into myself. And guys, it feels so amazing to share this with all of you, right? Because I know I've had lots of people asking me about the third child on Facebook, because I had mentioned that, I talked about it, and they were asking, well, Brad, whatever happened to the child? So I talked to some of my family about this. I talked to some of my close friends about this as well too. But it was like the tight community that I had on Facebook was getting involved with this, and I'm like, oh, God, this is a nightmare, right? And so again, I don't say that my ex is entirely 100% responsible for this. She isn't. No, a lot of this, at least half, was on me, about being this person who she feels that she could be dependent on. And that was my fault. A lot of it was my fault. And but again, I had to look in regards to the stars that aligned relating to this entire situation. And so I spent the next several months just being able to heal my heart up again, because it was destroyed. My heart was not just broken, it was obliterated. It was destroyed. It was dismantled. There was just shards everywhere. I actually, had this heart explosion that felt 5 times worse than when I left my ex-wife, right? When I left my ex-wife, we talked at least, right? There were certain arguments and stuff like that, but everything we talked about, we tried to get things to see if things could work. There was a stubbornness, of course not, but at least there was some type of communication. With my ex, there was no communication. It was money, 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 money. And just everything that happened, my heart just blew up into 1,000 shards. And so I just spent the next several months, again, doing a lot of meditation, reflecting on things. I do what's known as a notepad inner work, or inner work with a notepad, right? So I would just have my notepad there, and I'd start writing things down and saying, here's what I went through with my ex, and here's what I can do to try and recuperate again. And it took me, again, several months before I felt even comfortable about talking about other relationships to people as well too. I said, I'm just going to bring Adronis in. Adronis can talk to you guys about this, because right now I don't have any advice for people in relationships, because I'm still healing from one that was devastating, right? So when people came to me for sessions, I brought in Adronis. Adronis started talking about relationships, and I was happy with that, right? And so it wasn't until around the summer of 2018, I think was it 2018, 2017, something like that? I'm trying to remember here. Yeah, it was about a little over a year ago. Yeah. So we broke up in July of 2017, and she had the child in January of 2018. So yeah, like I said, it's since been around the earlier summer, late spring. I would say around late spring, early summer, where I started to get a lot of my energy back. I started to feel good again, because I realized out of all of these intense relationships that happened, what really came through was the ability for me to look inside myself. And I said, I'm not going to have a relationship like that again, ever. And I just said this whole aspect of me feeling that I needed to find a partner outside of myself to complete me died. I let it die. I wanted it to die. I wanted it just to completely let it rest in peace. And so it did. It finally started to rest in peace, because I started to honor myself. I started to value myself. I started to just say, I'm the person that's going to bring about the greatest compliment to my life. I'm putting myself first. And so when I share a lot of these philosophies with you guys, this is not just because I watched some video or I saw some expert talking about this. This is, again, all part of life experience. I have gone through a horrendous, few relationships, you could say. And again, I know I'm not alone. I've had people that have had even worse relationships, so I've talked to as well too, where there was just almost like two people that just wanted to literally kill each other, right? And of course, I'm not saying that this is the most devastating relationship in the history of the world. Compared to some other people that I've talked to, no, this is tame, right? But through my own particular personal experience, this was something that ate me alive, that just completely destroyed me. And again, it took me up to now, up to a little over a year, before I could actually start to talk to people about this. Because again, it happened in July of 2017 when we parted ways, and now here it is, almost moving into October now. So a little over a year before I could sit down in front of the camera and talk about this horrendous situation that took place. But again, it took me quite a few months as well too to forgive my ex, to really just say that it's not even about me forgiving her, it's about the idea of forgiving the emotions that have been brought up. I needed to forgive myself the feeling that I created a monster. I needed to forgive myself and feeling that I had animosity, that I had jealousy, that I had this feeling of actually wanting to be vengeful in that way as well too. There was just all kinds of ugly situations that were coming through me. And it was one day at a time. I was working with this, I was meditating on it, I was writing things down on a notebook and just outlining everything and saying, I can forgive this. I can forgive all of this situation that happened. No matter how harsh, my heart's still beating. My lungs are still breathing air. I'm still in this body. I'm still alive. And I can really make myself better from this situation. Yes, I have a third child, but I'm not the parent in her life. Not right now. Who knows what the future brings? That could always be a possibility. And I'd certainly be open to it as long as the two of us can negotiate and work together in that way. But I just cut her out of my life because it was all about money. It was all about me being a walking ATM. And I had to forgive a lot of that as well too. And so with a lot of these relationships in that sense, have I given up on relationships? No, I certainly haven't. I have just basically reversioned them in the idea of what I was going through in those past few years, about feeling that I'm on a spiritual journey. I need a person that needs to be, exactly like me in a way, and being able to do sessions, events together, and then this person is going to complete me. No, that's complete and total nonsense. And what I've discovered is that the ideal relationship is a person who is able to come together, but they still maintain their independency. They still have their individuality. They still have their personality as it relates to what they know they want to do in life. And that partner that comes together is a great complement. They're a great mirror to reflect this idea of an encouragement, of a great intimacy, of relationship that comes together, that supports each other, that talks to each other, and they're happy to individually create, and when they come together, they charge those aspects of themselves. But as I've said as well too, I said that I put myself first, right? My relationship, first and foremost, is with myself. Anybody else that is basically seeking a relationship with me goes second, right? And so this is creating the link of the chain, right? And Adronis started talking about this as well too. He started talking about it in many sessions. He says you have to put yourself first. You have to look into the idea that you are empowering yourself, because if you try to put somebody else on a pedestal, you become their servant. You become their slave. You are basically going to become unfulfilled because they expect so much of you. And if something goes wrong, they can always blame it on you, right? So this is what I also too was realizing. I said, you know what, I'm putting myself first. I'm going to really make myself shine and do what I've come here to do, to love what I've come here to love. I don't know how long I'm going to live on this planet. I don't know how long I'm going to be here, whether I'm here tomorrow, next week, next year, and it doesn't bother me, right? I just know that what I've done with my work has been a wonderful reward for myself, and if it's helped a lot of people as well too, that's great, but that's still not why I do it, right? I do it because I'm in the nature of sharing. I share this information. I don't expect every single person on the planet to get it. I do it because this is something that just makes me feel so wonderful. When I'm able to put something together, make it into something practical, and share it to another person, that's the greatest joy of my life. That's the most exciting thing to myself. And I said, that's what I'm going to focus on. I'm not going to worry so much about these other relationships who I feel that this person needs to complete me. If I do meet another person, and I do feel like they are a great compliment to myself, wonderful. But I'm going to put myself first. I'm going to continue to do what I feel is my heart telling me this is the path I need to walk? I'm not going to change myself to fit the mold of what somebody thinks they expect of me, because that's the greatest trap there is, right? It's all about the idea that when you're coming together in relationship, you love and you appreciate everything that that person is now, not of what they can become in a year, in 10 years, in 20 years, right? It's the idea that you're able to feel this person and you love them for who they are. And there's nothing about themselves that needs to change, because you see their greatness, you see their love, even if they're going through harsh times, when they're going through harsh situations, you're able to see them for the love that they are in this very moment, and that is pure support. That is pure encouragement. That is a complementary partnership. And so, again, I was creating videos in the past about, no matter what your partner does, just love them. And again, that's true. But the whole idea is that you want to have a simpatico connection. No one should ever be abused, ever, in a relationship at all. And if that does happen, and that something cannot be worked on with that, then it is time to part ways, right? If there is always something about a person that becomes bitter, that wants to be violent, that wants to be abusive in any way, that is like the reddest of the red flags, right? You are not together for that kind of abuse. You're together to understand that who this person is right now that I'm looking at, I love them for who they are. Sure, I'm going to change. Sure, they may change, but I'm going to love them as they change. I'm going to love them exactly where they are right now. I'm going to love them during their fluxes. I'm going to love them in that particular way, because the reason why we're together is because we are simpatico. We are able to connect in that way. And when they are taking an ugly turn and they're going another way, and that there's no more cooperation, there's no more forms of connection and teamwork that's coming together, it just basically becomes pure bitterness, then that's the time in saying that I think that what we've had has run its course, right? And I think the best thing for us to do is to part ways so that we can continue to evolve in our own way, because right now there becomes resistance, and there's no cooperation, and there's no teamwork, and there's no encouragement, and those are vital relating to relationship. When that's not there, that's what's going to cause this enormous shattering of hearts, just like what happened with me, with my ex. And like I said, with my ex-wife, it was horrible. With my just previous ex, it was 5 times worse, right? So it was on me as well too, because I wasn't seeing the signs. I wasn't willing to see the signs. I was actually getting, insight that these signs are happening, but I didn't want to listen to them because I felt that I could change the situation. I could change this and make it better. Change. I'm going to try and control things. I'm going to try and force things to go my way. And that becomes arrogance. And I was arrogant. I was an arrogant son of a bitch. I was arrogant and I was ignorant relating to a lot of those relationships. And I just had to really break down that part of myself, and saying that a lot of what Adronis was teaching me about this, I wasn't able to see it, right? And saying, well, come on, even though this is happening, there's got to be some way that I can change it, right? Trying to control, trying to force. So that's really what I went through in that whole experience of relationship, right? Right now, what I can say right here in this moment, I have never been happier. I have never been so happy to be in a beautiful space. I'm going to be moving soon. I'm going to be moving to the mainland, of course. But again, I've been taking these past 10 months when I was in Salt Spring Island in BC here, and now I'm here in Arrington, BC on Vancouver Island. These last 10 months have been really, really healing for me from what took place over a year ago. Because I was really just breaking everything down and saying, why am I still upset? What am I going through right now? And I was able to look at all of these and face them head on. And that's what you got to do. Like I said, the greatest form of spiritual facilitator there is one who is able to come before you and become vulnerable, right? And just being able to know, I'm a human being, right? And I do have faults. And I am learning my lesson, right? I can connect with a powerful intelligence. I can connect with Adronis. I can connect with a universal mind. I can share some really great, profound information for other people. But my journey is still unfolding. I am vulnerable, and I am able to be willing to look at these vulnerabilities that I have, these challenges that I've gone through, in the attempt to make myself more of the person that I know I wish to be. And that's the whole idea. Before the aspect of relationships even becomes a thought within your mind, how is your relationship with yourself? how are you feeling with yourself, right? And if you're feeling alone, if you're feeling again that you want that partnership, before you start going onto those dating sites or you start having a nice date, just look into yourself. Why do I feel so alone? Why do I feel that I feel abandoned? Why do I feel that I feel I need somebody else in my life to complete me, right? Because what it is that we don't have that relationship with ourselves. It took me several years to really form a deep, intimate bond with myself and feel good in my own shoes and feel good in my own soul, right? It feels so much better now than it ever has been, but it's still ongoing, where I know I'm going to feel even better and I'm going to go through even greater transformations as well too. And we want to get into that mentality. We want to look into the idea of saying that, how am I feeling with my own relationship first? Is it good? Is it healthy? Do I have a good and healthy self-relationship? Well, very good. Then I can bring a complementary partner into this because I'm feeling good about myself. When I feel insecure, when I feel I need to take care of somebody, when I feel like I need to be the person that will just bring somebody in and take care of all their problems, I'm on the brink of some really great lessons to be learned, some really great challenges, and a lot of suffering that can come together as a result of that. So again, the important thing is having that healthy, powerful self-relationship with you that can then invite in other complementary partners into your life to understanding more about how you are forming that love bond, feeling how you are inside, because that partner is going to show you every part of yourself, from the good, the bad, and the ugly. Like exactly what I went through in that way. That was certainly the truth as well too. But again, I wish all of my partners that I was with well. I don't have any animosity towards them anymore, I would say, but in the past, certainly. But again, a lot of that has been worked on. A lot of that has been healed. And what's most important right now is a complementary life, a wonderful life, continuing to do what I love. And if others come together in the picture with that, I welcome them in, for it is a complementary relationship. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching this video. I apologize for the length, but it's important that I was able to get all of this out appropriately in the best way that I could in front of a camera to share this with all of you and saying exactly this is how Brad is. Brad does have these vulnerabilities. Brad is far from being a perfect person, right? He may have a very strong connection with the universe. He may have a very strong connection with channeling Adronis and connecting with the universal mind, but he has had demons. Certainly have, right? And there's going to be more sharing of my past that I'm going to be talking about as well too, because this is all part of my vlog, sharing the personability with myself and sharing it with all of you. And maybe it encourages more of you to do the same, because that's what makes the greatest spiritual facilitator, one who can be vulnerable and one who can share their vulnerability. That becomes one of the greatest souls of all. Thank you so much for watching. Namaste, and may it be well with you all. Take care.